Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share a book that's not just motivational. It's the kind of book that shakes you from the inside. It makes you stop and really think about the life you're living. Is this truly the life you want? If you've ever felt like your life has just become a routine, like no matter what you achieve, something inside still feels empty, then this video is definitely for you. The book I'm talking about is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Sharma. Honestly, this isn't just a typical self-help book. It's a story. Emotional, relatable, and deeply personal. The story revolves around Julian Mantle, a highly successful lawyer. Outwardly, he seems to have it all: expensive suits, a fancy lifestyle, a huge reputation, and yes, a Ferrari. But inside, he's completely burnt out. Stress, pressure, emptiness, he has everything on paper, but nothing that truly satisfies him. And then one day, during a court session, he suffers a massive heart attack. This moment is the turning point. Imagine this: a man who looks successful to the world, utterly exhausted on the inside. And honestly, that's something a lot of us can relate to. Today, so many people smile on Instagram while struggling inside. After his heart attack, Julian does something that changes his life completely. He sells everything he owns, including his beloved Ferrari, and goes on a journey to India in search of happiness, meaning, and balance. He meets monks in the Himalayas, learns their wisdom, and discovers a completely new way of living. And this is where the magic of the book comes in. It's not about material success. It's about inner fulfillment. Julian learns about simple but profound principles, things like mastering your mind, following your purpose, embracing discipline, practicing selflessness, and truly valuing time. And the way Sharma shares these lessons is through stories and analogies that make them easy to understand and apply. One thing I loved about this book is how human it feels. It doesn't preach at you. It feels like you're sitting across a cup of coffee with a wise friend who's been through life and wants to share secrets that actually work. And these aren't just fancy ideas, they're practical steps you can start applying immediately. For example, there's this concept of the rituals of radiant living in the book. Simple daily habits that transform your mind and energy. Things like waking up early, journaling your thoughts, visualizing your goals, exercising not just your body but your spirit. It's all about small but consistent actions that build a fulfilling life. And here's the thing: the story is so engaging that while you're learning these life lessons, you're also emotionally invested in Julian's journey. You celebrate his victories, feel his struggles, and by the end, you're genuinely inspired to reflect on your own life. I also loved how the book makes you question your priorities. It asks you, are you living your life for others' approval? Are you chasing temporary pleasures or real lasting joy? It's deep but presented in such a simple, story-like way that it never feels overwhelming. By the time you finish this book, you don't just walk away with ideas, you walk away with a mindset shift. You start seeing the value of time, the importance of self-discipline, and the joy of living with purpose. And that's why I think this book is perfect for anyone feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or even just curious about living a life that actually feels meaningful. It's not a magic pill, but it's the kind of guide that makes you rethink everything in the best possible way. You know what I personally found most powerful about this book? It doesn't just talk about changing your life in big dramatic ways. It focuses a lot on the small daily choices we make, the thoughts we repeat, the habits we tolerate, the excuses we normalize. And honestly, when I was reading it, I kept catching myself thinking, wow, I do this too. There's a part in the book where Julian explains that we often become prisoners of our own mind. We overthink, we doubt ourselves, we replay old mistakes again and again in our head. And the book suggests something very simple but very powerful. You cannot control every thought that enters your mind, but you can control which thoughts you entertain. That hit me deeply because if we're being honest, so much of our stress is not because of life itself, but because of the stories we keep repeating inside our head. Another thing that stayed with me is how much the book emphasizes silence and solitude. In today's world, we're constantly scrolling, constantly consuming, constantly distracted. The book reminds us that clarity comes when you give your mind space to breathe. Even spending a few minutes alone with your thoughts, without noise, without phone, without pressure, that's where real self-awareness begins. And that's something we rarely practice anymore. Julian also talks a lot about purpose. Not the kind of purpose that sounds fancy on social media bios, but real purpose. The kind that gives your life direction. He explains that when you live without purpose, you get busy, but you don't feel fulfilled. You achieve things, but you don't feel satisfied. And I think so many people today are in exactly that place. Busy all day, exhausted at night, but still feeling like something is missing. There's also a beautiful message in the book about discipline. Not harsh discipline, not punishment, but gentle self-discipline. Doing small things every day even when you don't feel like it. Choosing growth over comfort. Choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. And honestly, the way the book explains discipline makes it feel empowering, not exhausting. It makes you feel like you are taking control of your life, instead of life controlling you. One part that really made me pause was the idea that time is the most valuable currency we have. We protect our money. We protect our phones. We protect our reputation, but we waste our time so easily. The book keeps reminding you that every day you wake up, you are spending a portion of your life that you will never get back. And when you start looking at time that way, you naturally become more intentional with how you live. What I also loved is that this book doesn't make you feel guilty for your past. It doesn't shame you for not being perfect. Instead, it feels encouraging. Like it's saying, no matter where you are right now, you can still start again. You can rebuild your mindset. You can redesign your habits. You can reconnect with yourself. And that message is very comforting. And that's why it stays with you even after you finish reading it. You don't just close the book and forget it. You start noticing your thoughts more. If you're someone who feels lost, overwhelmed, disconnected, or even just curious about how to live more intentionally, this book speaks directly to that place. It doesn't promise overnight success. It doesn't sell unrealistic dreams. It simply invites you to slow down, reflect, and start building a better inner world. Because when your inner world improves, your outer life naturally begins to change too. And honestly, even if you don't apply every lesson from this book, even if you only take a few ideas and start using them in your daily life, you'll still notice a difference. That's how impactful the message is.